Mariam, I see that you are not alone from your organization here, but it's also this cutie pie there sitting on the table. So please share your perspective from the Orphans Feeding Foundation. What is your role and how are you involved there on the ground?
Thank you for inviting us. We are very privileged to be here. My name is Mariam Lambert. I'm actually a civil servant working for 18 years in the European Patent Organization. And when we receive our contract and knowing that then nothing can happen to us, everything is safe, our kids will be taken care of, we decided to give back. So to make it short, we started to, during our holiday, to build orphanages in Kenya, in Nepal, in Morocco, Romania, Belgium. And then we were about to do a really nice project, hospitality school in Zanzibar, and the war started. Of course, there was nothing we could do than just also help in Ukraine. And the specificity of our NGO foundation is that everything we do, we are always on the ground to make sure that it gets faster to the people in need. So first time doing humanitarian in a war zone. We started in March 2022. And I have 5 minutes, so I can't tell you everything, but we spend most of our time, myself personally, in the occupied territory, in the front line, evacuating civilians from Bakhmut, Soledar, Kherson, Berislav, also connecting the women who are victims of rape, because when you are an old person like us, our brain, our heart is not trained for the war, our brain and our heart are not trained for the trauma we experience every single day. But we don't have time for us, so what we do, we connect people who need help with the right experts. Women who are victims of rape were connected with an association in order to seek further help. After that, we also distributed oncology treatment for people with cancer, because in this war, everyone should be taken care of, including the people who had cancer before the war and they were left behind. To make the story short, otherwise he will tell me to stop, but it's very close to my heart because I'm trying to explain you something that we have experienced every day, and of course I don't want to talk about that because it brings emotions to our experience. In July 2023, we decided to focus all our resources to the children. Why? Because on the 21st of June in 2023, the President Zelenskyy, together with the President of the European Commission, they made a common statement, and this is also why you are here today. They mentioned that every child has a right to be free, protected and safe. The Russian Federation has taken the right away from those children. They urged the Russian Federation to stop the deportation, to stop the immediate adoption, because this is something we need to highlight. Deportation, in the meantime, we have adoption as well. Based on that, they created Bring Kids Back program. And here we are today, all reunited. What is important also in our work is that together with Ombudsman Office, we have signed a memorandum of understanding together with the Presidential Office, because when it comes to children, since we are not experienced, we wanted to make sure that everything is compliant, that we respect the human rights and the dignity of those children and families. We started to do the work with my friend Irina, and we were tracing identification, but also always being present when there is a reunion. So I spent personally my time in the Belarusian border, at the Russian border in Kosnopilya, in order to make sure that those children would be safe. Together with Ombudsman, we were present. And I wish all of you today would see what we are seeing when a mother and a child are reunited. Everybody's seeing that as a victory. But when you are there and you see that, it is a big step, but it's the most awful thing that I have seen in terms of emotion. The screaming, the mother, the father touching the children for the next 7 hours to make sure that it's real. And that's what we have experienced. And we are there again. Why? Because we want to understand when they are returned, what can be there, what can be done, how we can support them. And I will finish by this sentence. I'm not Ukrainian, and I'm very honored to be amongst those amazing ladies here. But you don't have to be Ukrainian to support Ukraine, because after 2 years it's not about supporting. You don't have to be Ukrainian to commit to your word. Means committing meaningfully, doing action to help those children. You just have to be a human being. As a European citizen, it is not just making something good for Ukraine. It's our moral responsibility. And the last sentence I want to say is that a lot of Ukrainian people, including my colleague, are always, every time I go to Ukraine, they're always thanking us for supporting Ukraine after 2 years, which irritated me because I know how absolutely beautiful those people are. But I told them, you should stop thanking us. We should be the one saying sorry. Sorry that after 2 years, we still didn't manage to return all those children. Sorry that after 2 years, civilians are being killed every day. Sorry that after 2 years, we didn't manage to mobilize the whole world. We talk about it in conference everywhere. But sorry, because despite all that, you are still begging us for support. So from today, I hope the people will ask the Ukrainians to stop saying thank you. This is our civil responsibility. Every day we need to push. We need to be the best headache for the whole world and talk about it every single day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariam. And clearly, I'm confident that each of us can only second what you're saying. It's about dignity, it's about decency. So truly, indeed, this is one of those things that unites us all here. Introductory remarks with an international context and setting us in a position of before 2022 and the operations that have been happening around the world, right? So in this context, trying to fit the story of deportations of Ukrainian children in the context of atrocities happening around the world, what do you see unique in this particular case? What makes the story of Ukrainian children being deported different from similar cases, similar atrocities been happening all around the world, let's say West Africa for that sake, or any other parts of the world?
Thank you very much for this very tricky question. What makes it unique is that we can't deny that we didn't know. We can't deny that we were not informed. I mean, you understand that all the information is known to the public. What is making it unique is that actually, I don't have the word to describe what makes it unique, because you need to be there. And I know it's not safe to say that because it's still under shelling and it's still even in Kiev. But you need to be there to understand that what makes it unique is that those children, when they are returned, they don't want to go to have a nice life. They will sacrifice their life to bring their friends back. And that's a good example of Bogdan, who is here. When I ask him, what do you want to do now? You want to study? No. I will work and I will make sure that I'm bringing my friends back. He's 18. We were all having a nice life when we were 18. And that's what is unique. I would like to add an important point, what Irina just mentioned, and that's how also to explain the importance of partnership and memorandum of understanding. She was talking about the Children Rights Protection Center, which I'm really amazed by the work they're doing. And they give us the privilege also to be there, to meet also with the children. Because it's important when you speak to them, and of course any information we have on those children we just transfer to Irina's team. It's to understand what are the needs after. I like to be pragmatic and not to be in the theoretical. Just for you to understand what she's saying is that there is one Children Rights Protection Center in Kiev. One. What does it mean? When you're underground, you understand that those children, when they are reunited, they start from different places in Russia. They have to travel all the way to Moscow. From Moscow, depending on what they have found as a solution of the return, they have to go from Moscow, maybe by car, by train, we don't know. It's every single child has a different way of returning, depends on the cases. Then they go through different borders, sometimes Russian border with Ukraine, but that doesn't happen anymore. Most of the time they go where? They have to cross 4 countries. That's what she's talking about. The child goes from Moscow, Minsk, sometimes they have to go to Latvia, Lithuania, Poland. 3 days later, finally they're crossing the Ukrainian border. But that's not finished. After that, there's another 10 hours drive to go to Kiev, because that's the first place in the Child Right Protection Center that they need to go to all this process. The conclusion of that is that what she's trying to say, and that's what I'm trying to tell the whole world, is that a child, when he's 8, when he's 6, he's been traveling without the parents for 4 days, but he knows that it's not over when he crosses the border. He still needs to go to this sometimes it's quite heavy process because they need to talk about it. The only place they have is Kiev. So what we are doing together, I'm giving another headache to the whole world to say our foundation is trying to gather sponsoring from governmental, so maybe Latvia could do that as well. We can talk about this in order to build another child protection center in Rivne. Because for the moment we go in the Belarusian border. And later on we have to assess the situation with IRINA teams and Mr. Lubinets, Ombudsman Ukraine, to see whether it will be possible to do that in Sumy, in case this border is also open. So when we talk about having another child right protection center, I want you to understand why. You just realize, what does it do to a child when they are 4, 5, 6 years old, traveling for 4 days, exhausted, and then we have to accommodate them as well, because when they go there, there is no place to sleep. This is what we call partnership. But this is also why I want the whole world to understand why we are asking for this. It's not just for the sake of having another child right protection center. Next to that, we are also making the difference of another center, and this is where you are entering into the picture. When a family is reunited and they can go back, they are released. Some of them, they have no place to go because Irina explained that the village is completely destroyed. And today, Ukraine has 10,000 things to think about. So they're looking for international cooperation for us to think with them, to help them to fill the gap. And you know what is the gap? It's the first mission that I was with Mr. Lubinets. There was a family with a mother. She had 2 children, 6 and 8 years old. They came back, we celebrated, and it was nice. It was a really good feeling. They were reunited, and the next day I asked them, of course, what is the next plan? Where are you going? And she looked at me and she said, I'm going back to Kupiansk. So you realize, where is Kupiansk? It's in the front line. She said that 2 months ago. We're working on that case, actually, with her team. That means that after all what they've been through for 2 years, they have no other choice than going back to a city which is still under shelling. We can't stay silent. We can't just be convinced that things need to be done. And that's our work together with them. So please reach out to us to see what can be done. Please come to us, because those children, the reality behind the Bring Kids Back is a big step, because before there was nothing. But when you get into it, it's a dramatic situation for the children. So let's talk more about bringing life back to those children after bringing them back. And that's extremely crucial. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariam.
I forgot to ask you what can be done also from your side. We are not talking about that here, but you know, we need to raise awareness all around the world. The coalition is doing that absolutely amazingly, but that means that we should stop. I mean, we should not stop, but we should focus. Maybe what we can do is focus awareness and making sure that this message go through countries which are friendly with Russia. That's extremely important. If you have any connection in India, in China, and just raise awareness about what is going on, because they might think it's propaganda. They might think that it's not real. They might think that Ukraine is brainwashing you as well. So that's something that the international community, our international community can do, is to start also sending the message to those countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariam.